Hello everyone. Microphone check, all clear? Good. My name is Kao. I'm here to tell you a couple of stories about EIP-7702 and how it made hardware wallets. So it's, as you all know, it's already been an year since we had the Pectra upgrade on the Ethereum mainnet. And at Ambire, I am very proud that we are one of the teams that are pioneering EIP-7702. From day one, when the Pectra upgrade was live on the Ethereum mainnet, we were among the first wallets, probably the first, who had in production all the cool stuff that 7702 could bring. And we wrote out full support for hot accounts. Why for hot accounts? Well, because, you know, 7702 has these two additional types of authorization and type 4 transaction that have to be implemented or on a firmware level on the hardware wallets. So what we did with the team is we just put a label coming soon for all the accounts that are imported with hardware wallets on our end, hoping that this will land sometime soon or in a couple of weeks. We prepared everything, we prepared the branches, and we were just waiting for the hardware wallets to release their exciting updates. And just to tell you the full context of the story, even before the Pectra upgrade in the beginning of last year, our CEO started communicating with hardware wallets for supporting 7702 new type of transactions. This is an issue he opened against the Ledger Ethereum app, and then sometime around the beginning of the year against the Trezor GitHub project as well. The result was the community got excited, but the hardware wallets, I think, were not keeping up on this tempo. And what happened is also with our colleagues, we are trying to go to all the major Ethereum conferences around the world. And everywhere where we met hardware wallet teams, we were speaking with them and trying to explain the importance of 7702. Because in our opinion, this is the biggest Ethereum upgrade in terms of user experience. And here is a picture of me and my colleague with the Ledger guys discussing as early as in the beginning of last year how important it is to bring this support live. But to have the absolute full context, I would like to rant a little bit about why EIP-7702 actually matters. Well, it first unlocks smart account powers for EUAs. This is the core value proposition. It also enables future migration part towards quantum safe signing for EUAs. Without changing your address, your account, you can migrate to quantum safe signing in the future. And then it helps Ethereum feel like one chain. It helps unify signing, batching, gas payment, and also dramatically improves interoperability. And just to recap everything, it empowers flexible and a future-proof way for gradual adoption of smart accounts. At Ambire, first, we thought the direction is directly transfer funds to smart accounts and start using smart accounts. But since the last year, I think it's pretty clear that everyone needs a flexible solution, something that can upgrade the current accounts, and this would bring the biggest adoption, I think. And I brought some examples on how can full 7702 implementation look like. This is the transaction builder of our wallet. So you see this popular use case when you grant approval and then fire a second transaction for a swap and bridge. This is how it looks when they both get batched. With batching, you can unlock even more powerful things like, for example, here on the next slide, you see how I'm sending one ETH. I'm first swapping USDC to ETH, and I'm sending the future ETH that I'm about to receive from this swap transaction to another address. So with batching, imagine a hardware wallet. Imagine doing this manually. If you use a hardware wallet, you may click up to 3-4 times for every single transaction and trigger 3 separate transactions on the dApp and wait for the swap to complete and then send this. The 7702 brings this possible, and I encourage you all, if you haven't tried batching, give it a shot, because it is really it really empowers these kinds of transactions, and it limits the chance of doing something wrong. Because if one of these things goes wrong, the whole thing will revert and nothing will happen. And then I prepared another example with revoke approvals. So after using DeFi, you see some hanging approvals. Instead of revoking them one by one, here is how with batching, you can just batch revoke all the approvals with one signature. And then another example with my colleague Bobby, we implemented different tokens as payable for a gas fee. In this example, JPYC token. Here I have an account with only JPYC token, and you see I'm able to pay the fee with JPYC token, and then batch send 3 separate transactions without even having ETH on this account. So I think 7702 has already great examples that you can achieve with hot wallets, and with hardware wallets, it's just, I think, a matter of time before they unroll this. But let's rant a little bit more. Why 1 year after all these goodies, why 1 year after that EIP-77 adoption got stuck? Well, first of all, it's important. The hardware wallet support is very, very important, because as, I assume everyone of you knows that the people with most funds and the companies manage most funds on cold storage still. So if hardware wallets don't hop on the 7702 board, it will be very hard for 7702 to succeed, because all the power users use hardware wallets. And 1 year after Pectra, many teams still believe delegating to a contract means giving up control. And moreover, a lot of teams still believe that dApps will be able to some kind of get new superpowers with 7702 and move the funds without having to do a follow-up transaction. I had this question here at ETCC, if after delegating to smart contract, then is it needed a follow-up transaction in order to drain that account? And for my talk, if there are 2 things that I want you to remember, this is the first thing. Myth 1, dApps will drain your account. No, they will not. No wallet wants to support allowing dApps to trigger authorizations. Authorizations are something that is meant for the wallets to use, and dApps are meant to communicate to the wallets with existing EIPs like 5792, 7715. So dApps talk to wallets through capability APIs, not through authorizations. And then dApp tells the wallet what they request, and wallet decides how to deal with this request. So this is very, very important nuance. To recap, wallets stay in control with 7702, and dApps don't get new powers or cannot move your funds without you confirming. And the second thing that I want you to remember is EIP-7702 isn't cold storage. This is a myth. Even some hardware wallets still believe that many C contract delegation is not compatible with cold storage, but in reality, what I want you to remember is that all accounts have logic, even UAs, just their logic is hidden inside the protocol. And changing that with EIP-7702, it simply moves the logic away from the application level towards the delegator, to the smart contract level. And EIP-7702, as I said, doesn't break cold storage security. Exposes the same logic that AOAs already rely on. It just like moves it from the application level. And all of this it brings the question, why hardware wallets got stuck in the communications gap? I think all of us have some fault, especially the Ethereum Foundation, for not communicating this truly with all the participants in the ecosystem. And just to illustrate you how complex the situation is right now, I prepared 2 more stories for the support battles that we had. So first, with Ledger. Ledger, they are our friends, but still, they came up with this whitelisting approach to balance between openness and their security assumptions. Whitelists, they come from good intentions, but turn out to be something that we fight on for around a year now. They first whitelisted us and MetaMask as our delegators and accepted the PRs that we made for whitelisting us. Then, after months of silence, they just put whitelisting on hold, and there is not much news on their end except that they will bring 7702 support, but they right now are not allowing anyone to effectively use it. And no wallet can integrate it right now. This is the messy picture. Yeah, whitelisting, it comes from good intentions, but as of now, it slows adoption and it creates these centralized gatekeepers, which at the first place, Ethereum aimed to not have. If anyone from Ledger is here in this room, I encourage you to take a look at my PR that enables all the Ethereum Foundation recognized delegators. Please accept it and let's move on with 7702. And next, the Trezor. In the last year, we had many conversations with Trezor, but unfortunately, the moral of the story is their focus is elsewhere. Well, they thought in 2025, last year, they said not on our roadmap. Up until recently, we spoke with them and we understood that they still believe in some of the myths that we discussed in the previous slides. And then they promised full EIP-7702 support in May release. So we will closely follow up on these promises now. And then, once again, Ethereum can't win if hardware wallets don't keep up. If they lack the whole UX for the end users lack. But not all of them are in this loop. There is one hardware wallet that actually implemented 7702 with us, and it's Grid Plus. This is the third type of hardware wallet that Empire supports. With Grid Plus support, it's already live on production with us. We met with Justin, their CEO, and he said they were waiting for a partner on this one, and none of the wallets reached out. So we were the first one to reach out, and they just built the thing. It's working. And I think the moral of this story is that real collaboration, it really beats rumors and whitelists every time. And hardware wallets, today, they act as centralized gatekeepers to the new standards. And our permissioned 7702, I think, kills the spirit that Ethereum win at the first place. In order for 7702 to succeed, the whole stack needs to move. And if hardware wallets doesn't want to move, they are right now the bottleneck, and they should be careful because we might have figured a way how to bypass them with your phone. So can your phone replace hardware wallets? Yesterday, my colleague had a great talk. Spoiler alert, maybe it can. And if you want to learn more, please stay tuned for updates by following me on Twitter and seeing the content that I share on this topic, because it's something that at Empire we are fully focused and will push forward in the next weeks. Thanks so much. All right.
Thank you.
I left some time for questions. If anyone wants to ask me anything, now is the best time.
I have a question. This EIP sounds really promising and everything, yet I'm seeing and hearing stories a lot on X for drainers being the biggest use of EIP-7702 and people having wallets drained through 7702, and this creates kind of an image of being something, of EIP-7702 being something scary. if it's so good, how does it happen with drainers? Why do they use it? And can drainer use 7702 to drain your wallet?
This is an excellent question. And it is another myth that we're trying to bust at Empire. Well, currently, all these use cases are for private keys that are compromised. There is no other way. So for the compromised private keys, yes, they delegate it to a malicious contract. It's only this is the use case. Even with Ledger and Trezor, like I said, they blocked authorizations, and no wallet can effectively do that. And with the other wallets, the same. They don't have an API where a DApp can request authorization. Then for this use case is impossible. So only compromised private keys have delegated to a malicious contract. Anyone else? Yep.
I think you might have just implicitly answered my question, but it's particularly the delegation transaction that they don't want to support. That the what is the detail that the hardware wallet doesn't want to support? Because generally they just sign hashes, right? But
yeah, they are particularly cautious about the delegation request, yes, but they need to support also a type 4 transaction. This is in the 77, yeah. I think they are more cautious about implementing the authorization. For example, with Trezor, they implemented almost instantly the type 4 transaction, but for the authorization, we had a long ongoing loop for this. And yeah, the core thing is that they need to be fully sure that this will not allow anyone to trigger a transaction without user confirming it on the device, which is the case.
well, I'll throw out a conspiracy theory, and that's that account abstraction doesn't really work well with the business model, does it?
True. Very true.
All right. I don't see any more question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you around.